Hey, what's up, guys? It's ex-mormon from My Spiritual Life, and today I wanted to share with you something awesome that I read on Reddit from Dehlin. If you don't know who Dehlin is, he's an ex-Mormon, and he started the podcast, pretty popular in the ex-Mormon community, called Mormon Stories, and he has helped thousands and thousands of people who struggle with their faith crisis by interviewing people about their Mormon stories. And he has been a tremendous support for the ex-Mormon community and the ex-faith religion community, not just Mormons. Anyway, this post he posted about 2 weeks ago and on Reddit, and it's called "You Were the Holy Ghost All Along." And it touches my heart so deeply, so I want to read it to you guys and tell you my thoughts on it. So, here we go. Perhaps the hardest transition for post-Mormons to make is granting themselves permission to be their own prophet, their own seer, and their own revelator, their own bishop, their own president, their own apostle, their own patriarch, their own Holy Ghost. After decades of relying on an external source of authority, it is surprisingly difficult for so many post-Mormons to feel comfortable placing trust and confidence in themselves, in their own conscience, their own instincts, their own intellect, their own decision-making abilities, and their own inner guide. So many of us feel most comfortable relying on someone or something external, and we come by it honestly. Most of us have been conditioned to act this way since birth, and it wasn't really even insidious. Our parents and leaders were honestly trying to help us in the best way they knew how. This is not a Mormon phenomenon. This is a human phenomenon. But make no mistake, this is the greatest gift of a religious faith transition if you can gain the confidence to claim it. Even Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within." I like to think that is what he meant. Finally, once you've taken your authority back from a high-demand religion, or from any other relationship for that matter, please do not give it away to any other person or organization. If you do, you may as well go back to the church. You were the Holy Ghost all along. And then he quotes Shel Silverstein. There is a voice inside of you that whispers all day long, "I feel that this is right for me. I know that this is wrong." No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside. I love that post that Dehlin posted so much because he totally encapsulates the biggest struggle that most of us face as ex-Mormons or as any religion, and it's lack of self-trust. We grew up with our eyes set to this certain entity being the authority on everything. I remember in high school when my friends asked me, what's your opinion on abortion? And I went home and asked my mom, what is the church's opinion on abortion? Because in my mind, I was like, well, that has to be my opinion. My opinions have to be the church's opinions. And that's crazy. It's crazy living your life that way, where you surrender all ability to make choices. And the thing is, it's so hard to take that back, even when you feel like something doesn't have that authority anymore. And I think that's why it's so hard to leave, even when you feel like the church has no credibility. Like if you decide, oh, this is not really what I thought that it was. This church is not God's one true church. Even if you can convince yourself that, it's really hard to convince yourself that you would be okay without it. It's scary. It feels like you're going to make mistakes no matter what. So why not just cling to something that at least promises some good when you're taught that this one thing has the authority on everything in your life? In a way, it's really comforting because you don't have to make decisions, and so you don't have to screw up. And it feels like this weird, comforting dynamic of like, well, yeah, my opinion is this, and that's the church's opinion, so it's right, so I'm good, right? And the problem is this fosters this terrible, terrible lack of confidence and self-trust in its members. And again, not everyone, but this is a common experience within these strict type of religions, is that you are incapable of making any decisions because your confidence is zero. You have no ability to make decisions whatsoever because you're terrified and paralyzed. In the coaching world, we call it analysis paralysis, where you're like, oh no, what if I do this or this or this or this? And you get locked up and you can't make a decision because you're so terrified of making the wrong one. So as you step away from the church, one of the biggest struggles you have is trying to figure out how you're going to make new decisions. So it's very common for people to step away from the church and pick something else to be their God or their prophet or their whatever, because they need someone to tell them what to do, because they just don't know how. They don't know how to make their own decisions and trust them. And it's a scary dynamic to be in, and it's uncomfortable. And it's not even really exclusive to Mormonism. It's more extreme in this sense. But if you think about it, in life, it happens with people as well, in society and the conditioning and trying to make other people happy and stuff. You get a lot of 40-year-old men that are very afraid of what their dad thinks of them, even though they're a grown adult. And it's because there's this catch-22, right? Of like, okay, you have this hero you set up, right? And the pro of that is if you have this hero in your mind that knows all the answers or whatever, then you don't have to take responsibility for when things go wrong, right? So you can make your decisions based on what this person is saying or what this person perceives you as, and you have that weight off of you of making decisions. But the catch-22 of it is that if you were to take your power back, if you are to say, no, I'm going to make my own decisions, you have to trust yourself and you have to take ownership over your failures. And it's scary and it's hard. It's like, it's killing your hero. You have to kill your hero in order to become your own person. And for a lot of us who've left Mormonism or any other religion, we had to kill our hero, which was the church or Joseph Smith or our bishop or whatever. Not actually kill, it's metaphorical, right? I am not condoning murder on this channel. I would just be one of those really crazy ex-mormon stereotypes that everyone thinks. But you have to kill your hero in order to become your own. And it's the scariest thing ever, because then in order to do that, you have to give yourself permission to fail, and to fail epically, and to fail at your own hand. And it's terrifying. And it's also exciting and crazy. And if you can start to learn to give yourself that space, that's the best thing you can do for yourself as an ex-Mormon or ex-whatever, right? Is to give yourself permission to fail and to figure it out. Because truthfully, everyone in this life is only making decisions based on their experiences and the information they have. And they're doing their best with that stuff. And that's what you're doing. You're doing your best with the stuff you have. And that has to be enough. And a lot of times coming from this religious background, it feels like it's not enough. It feels like we need to have the answers. But we don't. We don't have the answers. And truthfully, no one does. I mean, a lot of people have answers, but we don't know who's right. And so the only way we can move forward in life is by stumbling. By stumbling through trying different things. And it's scary, and it's also beautiful. And it's freeing. It's completely freeing. Because if you can give yourself permission to fail, then you are giving yourself permission to move forward in being you for the very first time ever. And once you do that, you really start living, and you really start putting yourself out there bigger in the world and trying things and being happier, you know? Anyway, so I just super love what John Dehlin said in this post, because truthfully, it's so hard learning to trust yourself again after something like this happens. but you can do it. And you have to. You absolutely have to. It's the only real way to live, because you cannot make decisions based on other people's fear anymore. You just can't. Life is too short to live it that way. You cannot make decisions based on other people's fear. You have to make decisions on what you think, what you feel, and your experiences. That's the only real way to live your life. And it's the most empowering way to live it, in my opinion. So next time you struggle with making a decision or with trying to trust yourself in certain aspects, just remind yourself, what if you were the Holy Ghost all along? And what if it's okay to try and see how things pan out? Because ultimately, if you fail, you are the one that's going to pick yourself back up and move forward again. And as long as you're willing to do that, you have nothing to lose. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please comment down below your thoughts about you being the Holy Ghost all along. And huge thanks to our amazing Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. We could not move this channel forward without you guys. And we are still looking for more help. If we get a little bit more help, we're going to be able to afford to pay an editor to help us edit our videos on this channel so that we can focus more on the content, which I'm super excited about. So if you want to become a Patreon supporter, please click on the link below. And thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.